Hi and welcome back to my channel. If you're new, thanks for joining. As you can see by the title for this video, I'll be showing you how I took this advent calendar that I found at a thrift store and completely transform it into something else. So if you want to watch that thrift flip, stick around and let's get started. So starting off, I wanted to share with you guys how much I paid for this advent calendar. It was $5.99. The back of the advent calendar had this little nice description of what the advent calendar is, so I thought I'd share with you guys as well. Before I could do anything to this advent calendar, it needed some TLC, some cleaning because it's been in storage for quite a while, because I believe I purchased this last year or early this year. I can't remember, but we needed to clean it. And as you can see, it also is missing two little doors, which I had them, but they just kept on falling off. So we needed to fix that as well. So a lot of cleaning. Then we headed out to one of my favorite stores, Hobby Lobby, to look for some paint and other materials. I was really trying to find the right shade for the theme that I was going for, which you will see in a little bit. I couldn't decide between the two following colors, but I'm so happy that I went with the right color because it was just the perfect shade for my project. Then I was looking for other little pieces that I can incorporate, and I ended up buying this wooden snowflakes, some other painting material like the markers, and then the paint that you'll see following. I did end up using that metallic one, the white for sure, and then the brown, warm brown, and then the beige color I didn't use, but I'll probably use that one for another project in the future. And moving along was the first part, which I was scared for this because it was priming the entire advent calendar. I was doubting myself because I know many people are going to scream and say, why are you painting that beautiful image? It was beautiful. I almost kept it that way and said just keep it, but I think whoever had it before me gave it the life that it needed with that image, and now it's time for something new. And that's the beauty about going to the thrift stores, that the new owner gets to give it a new life, a new home, and that's exactly what I wanted to do with this advent calendar. Side note, I did want to share the following information with you guys. I don't know why I did this to myself, but after painting this beautiful piece, I searched to see the worth of it, and it's actually around $125. Yeah, I had to let that sink in and make sense of why I painted that masterpiece after finding out it was $125, but it's okay because I wasn't planning on selling it. But the moral of the story is for you guys to see that you can actually find some gems at the thrift stores. So don't think you can't find good stuff at the thrift stores, because you can. This is proof. So this is the second code that I added to the advent calendar. I decided to do the spongy method, not so much of stroking the paint, if that makes sense, like pushing in the paint, because the other way I felt that it wasn't sticking, and it actually worked out because it gave it the texture that I needed. Because I was planning to take some of the brown paint and add baking soda, but I didn't need to do that because I did this with the primer. So you can see I started opening the little doors because then those little marks were left untouched if I didn't open the doors, and then they're just gonna stick, and either way I needed to paint the inside. That was the last coat that I added for the primer, and now it was time for the warm brown with the first coat. And I did exactly the same thing. I did the sponge method instead of like the stroking method, and I believe I did about 2 to 3 coats. We'll see. While that first coat was drying, I took some of my smaller paintbrushes and went around the little snowflakes. As you can see, there was still white areas that I couldn't get in with the bigger brush or sponge. So I started going in there and just painting away until I got all those little white areas nicely painted, and then waited for it to dry and did another coat. Once I allowed the brown paint to completely dry, now it was time to use the white pen to start outlining and bringing this advent calendar to life. If you haven't guessed by now, yes, the theme is gingerbread theme or something along the lines. So first I started outlining the little snowflakes. Now let me tell you, this task was a challenge for me, being a perfectionist, because I wanted it to be perfect, but it wasn't perfect at all because the pen was too thick, and also it was just hard because of the texture that the paint left on the advent calendar. So you'll see me here trying to outline, then fixing it because I got some paint in the middle of the snowflake. It was bothering me, so I went back with some brown paint to cover that up, which was a good thing that I was using brown as my base color, because that meant if there was any white mistakes, I could always go back and paint over it with the brown and just do it all over again. And you'll see throughout the video that I actually did that a lot, especially at the beginning, because like I mentioned, I'm a perfectionist and wanted it to be perfect, but it wasn't working out because the smaller the snowflakes got, the harder it got to actually outline it perfectly. But at the beginning, you'll see that I did cover with brown paint. I went over it many times, but then towards the end of the video I realized that, hey, it's a gingerbread, it doesn't have to be perfect. Those little splatters will make it a unique little thing to the advent calendar, so just leave them. So at the beginning I did struggle, but then I was like, who cares, let's just keep going with this. But you'll see me here spending a lot of time covering my mistakes or attempting to cover them, and then just getting frustrated and then covering the whole entire thing and starting all over again. So that's what I did at the beginning. It took me longer than what I was expecting to do those little outlines on the snowflakes, but then once I was done with that, the following night, I went ahead and started labeling the numbers of each little door. I try to guide myself using a picture reference that I had from what the advent calendar looked like previously, because I didn't want to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I wanted to do the same number outline like they had it. So it was all over the place. The numbers were all over the place. So that's why you would see me stopping and kind of turning, because I was looking at my phone to guide myself to number each little door. The following day, it was time for me to actually start with the images that were going to go on this advent calendar. As I mentioned, I knew that I wanted a gingerbread theme, but all that I had as a reference was different pictures that I took from, that I found online. There were gingerbread houses, whether there were advent calendars or just gingerbread houses in general, as a guide. So I just took pieces of each picture and created the following images, and I'll try to include pictures of those images that I use as a reference for this gingerbread advent calendar. The following day, I realized that I did not record the clips where I showed you how I painted those 6 boxes, how I painted the snowflakes, and how this pen exploded on me while I was working on one of the boxes, which I had to paint over and do it again, and I had to go buy new pens because it kept on doing the same thing. So I had no other option than just to go and buy different pens with the hopes that this ones would work and not explode on me and make such a mess. But as you can see, I added little details to some of the doors and the side of the advent calendar. So I went ahead and just went over the little boxes that I had already painted just to make it pop a little bit better, and continue to just design my images basing on or using the pictures that I previously showed you as a reference to each little box that I was creating. Part that took me the longest for this advent calendar was obviously painting all those little images, because I try to duplicate them so that there was at least 2 doors with the same image. Also coming up with images. I did use Google as a reference, but just choosing which images would go along with the advent calendar, which snowflakes to use, definitely took a lot to put together. But I actually like how it came out. I only had 2 little boxes left to come up with an image and then go over those parts where it looks like wet paint, because I did end up painting over those images because I didn't like how they looked. So while I waited for that to dry, I ended up using some of that metallic paint for the top of the advent calendar and the bottom. Originally, I was going to use the metallic paint on the images, but I felt that doing that was just not going to look right or throw off the gingerbread look that I was going for. So I like that I ended up using the metallic paint for the top and the bottom of the advent calendar. I was also going to paint the sides of the advent calendar with that gold paint, but I ended up choosing to draw little windows on each side, and I really like that I went with that idea because I think it gave it like a little special touch. I went over it with the marker pen twice just to make that white paint stand out more, and I really like how it came out. I think it's super cute with the windows on each side of the advent calendar. I also ended up adding some little white dots to the sides of the advent calendar because I just felt that it brought it all together, and that was it. That was basically all to the advent calendar. It took me quite a while, as you can see by the clips. I didn't do it all in one day. I would spend maybe an hour or two working on it, or an hour, and then did it the following day. But that's it. This is the final result of my thrift flipped of an advent calendar, and it turned out better than what I imagined. There's some little imperfections, but it's okay. For my first thrift flipped, I think I did a pretty good job, and now it's just time to add the little things inside the box and open it for the countdown till Christmas. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Make sure that you subscribe to my channel and that you hit that notification button so that you're notified when my next video goes up. And thanks for watching, and until next time, bye.